Hi everyone, we're Group 149, and our project focuses on how news stories are framed differently by the left, center, and the right media outlets, even when they're covering the exact same events. Instead of comparing different stories, we use a unique method that controls for the story content, so we can only focus on how the language changes. So our main question was, when reporting the same event, how do media outlets with different political leanings frame it differently? We looked at patterns in word choice, emotional language, and overall tone. This research builds on past work, but improves it by using a dataset that directly compares identical stories across political views, helping us truly measure media bias without mixing in different topics.
So we had three main hypotheses. First, we hypothesized that each side consistently uses different kinds of language. For example, left-leaning sources focus more on humanitarian terms, right-leaning ones emphasize security, and obviously center sources tend to be more neutral or institutional. Secondly, we believe that these patterns are strong and prevalent enough for a computer to detect which side wrote what, just based on the words they use. And third, we also believe that these patterns would be consistent over time and also across different types of conflicts, such as Ukraine or immigration. And to test this, we used a unique data set from all sides with over 8,500 story sets, where each set contains left, center, and right versions of the same story. This allows us to directly compare how language differs across the political spectrum for each event.
Okay. Today I'm going to walk you through the core analysis of our project, where we set out to answer one key question. Can we objectively measure media bias? To do this, we didn't just look at what stories were covered, but how the exact same events were framed across the left, center, and right-leaning media. And our analysis was a three-step investigation, starting off with H1. First, we had to prove that fundamental language differences even exist. For the average person, this is like asking, do different news sources use a different tone? For the technical audience, we performed sentiment analysis across thousands of articles and ran an ANOVA statistical test to check for significance. The output was clear. We found that left leaning sources consistently used more positive language, while right leaning sources used more negative language to describe the exact same events. The p value was near zero, confirming that this wasn't random chance, and it's a systematic difference. Moving on to H2, which is our second hypothesis, we asked, are these differences measurable enough for a computer to predict bias? And in simple terms, can we create a linguistic fingerprint for each bias? So to test this, we trained a machine learning classification model. We didn't give it the news source, we only gave it linguistic features like word choice and sentiment density, and the result was remarkable. Our model could predict whether an article was from a left, center, or right source with nearly 80% accuracy. This proves that the way these outlets frame information is so distinct that it's quantifiable and predictable. And moving on to H3, which is our final hypothesis, we investigated if this bias was consistent across different topics. Does a news source use the same framing playbook for every issue? We segmented our data by major topics like climate change, immigration, and the Israel Palestine conflict, and analyzed the bias patterns. As these charts show, the answer is a resounding yes. Left leaning media that was pro immigration was also highly likely to be pro climate action and pro Palestinian. The same consistency was true for right leaning sources. This shows that the bias is systematic and institutional, not just a reaction to a specific event. In conclusion, our three-part analysis demonstrates that media bias is not just an opinion, it's a consistent, measurable, and predictable pattern of language. By following this framework, we can move towards a more objective and data-driven understanding of how news is framed. On to you, Garrick.
So in our project, all data came from publicly accessible news URLs collected by all sites, ensuring no personal or private data was used. We focused only on institutional media framing, not on individual behavior or opinions. We maintain strict neutrality by using the same stories across left, center, and right outlets, ensuring a fair and ethical comparisons. Then our results confirm that political bias in news framing is systematic, not random. Left-leaning sources emphasized humanitarian language. Right sources focused on security terms, and center sources used more natural vocabulary. These patterns were consistent across topics and time, and our model could predict political bias with over 78% accuracy. This suggests media framing can be quantified and analyzed computationally, opening new paths for bias and detection and media literacy. And that was our final project. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.